Bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, on a fait le verbe to make, to do, and to say. So those two verbs in French are faire and dire. So without further ado, let's jump into the lesson today. So these are irregular verbs, faire and dire. So we've learned a number of irregular verbs so far, including être, avoir, and aller. So être is to be, avoir is to have, and aller is to go. The fact that these verbs are irregular means that you needed to memorize each of their conjugation tables in full, which I haven't done yet. The same applies with faire to make, to do, and dire to say. But there's good news. These two irregulars follow almost the exact same pattern. This means that they're much easier to memorize if you learn them together. So on that note, let's get started. So faire means to make and to do. But it does the job of two distinct English verbs, as I mentioned before, to make and to do, which makes it a pretty powerful verb. But we'll get into exactly how it is used in a moment. For now, let's find out how it is conjugated. Since this is an irregular verb, you already know that it doesn't follow the regular RE verb pattern, which you can Google online and you can see it. Take a careful look on the conjugation tables below. So for example, the first one, we have je fais, we have tu fais, il fait, elle fait, on fait. They all sound exactly the same, they're spelled differently. So for example, je fais is I make or do. We have tu fais, which is you make or do. So the verb conjugation in this example follows the exact same pattern. So for example, je is I in French. So it's J-E, and then we have F-A-I-S. So the stem is F-A-I, and it ends with an S for je fais. Tu fais is T-U-F-A-I-S, exactly the same spelling as je fais, okay? Il fait, elle fait, and on fait, which means he makes, il fait, elle fait, she makes, on fait, which is also one makes. So it's he makes or does, she makes or does, one makes or does. However, the ending is with a T. So for example, il fait is I-L-F-A-I-T. Elle fait is E-L-L-F-A-I-T. On fait is O-N-F-A-I-T. So to go through the pronunciations to make sure that everything is correct. So je fais. Let's get this.
Je fais,
Je fais.
tu fais,
Tu fais.
il fait,
Il fait.
elle fait,
Elle fait.
on fait.
On fait. Okay. So faire, to make or to do, faire, to make or to do, is actually almost regular in these singular forms. To get the stem, you remove the RE because faire is spelled F-A-I-R-E. You remove the stem of RE, the RE ending, and you just build the je and two forms using the ending S. So when you remove the RE from faire, you get F-A-I. And for tu, the tu form is F-A-I-S. For the je form is F-A-I-S also. So this is easy, okay? The third person form, i.e. the form using il, elle, and on, are where the pattern gets broken. Regular RE verbs won't take any additional endings in this form, but with faire, to make or to do, you use the ending of T. Okay, now we're going to talk about the plural endings. So, same process, it's nous faisons, vous fait, ils font, elles font. Again, nous faisons is we make or do. We have vous fait, you formal or plural make or do. Then we have ils font, which is they make or do. Elles font, they make or do feminine. Okay, let's get the pronunciation.
Nous faisons,
Nous faisons,
vous faites,
vous faites. I wasn't pronouncing it properly. So nous faisons is we make or do. And for nous in French is N-O-U-S. Faisons is F-A-I-S-O-N-S. Vous faites is V-O-U-S, F-A-I-T-E-S. We have ils font.
Ils font.
Ils font, which is they make or do, which is ILS FONT, and you can see the very different spelling for they make or do with the verb faire. Okay, and we have elles font, which is
Elles font.
which is they make or do feminine. Okay, the new form keeps its usual ONS endings because it is spelled FAISONS. But adding this directly to the stem FAI would create something unpronounceable. So to fix this, an S is inserted in the middle, making the form faisons. So what they're saying is, if it was just FAIONS, it would be difficult to pronounce the word. However, to make it easy to pronounce, they add an S between the FAI and the regular ONS ending, so it's nous faisons. This is what they're saying. The vous form, on the other hand, doesn't try to take its regular easy ending. Instead, it operates like the vous form in et to be and takes the ending of TES. So for vous faites, it's FAI and it takes the ending of TES and not the regular easy ending that we would see with other verb forms, okay? The form used by both il and elle is also completely irregular and yet familiar. It's a single letter with an ONT ending, just like the il, elle forms for être to be and aller to go. So sont and vont. Now, each of these plural forms end in a silent letter. So it's ils font, which is FONT, is the verb form used for they make, masculine. So it's ils font, and it's the same verb form used for the feminine version of they make or do. Okay? Right, let's continue. Now each of these plural forms end in a silent letter. So even though it ends in T, you don't pronounce the T. Just like each of the singular forms. But you don't need to worry about making la liaison between any of these verb forms and the words that come after them. It's no more common to do this with faire, to make, or to do than it is with most verbs, which means that most people don't do it. So you don't have to do la liaison for the verb faire. It's not necessary. Now that we have gotten this down, let's practice some sentences, okay? So for the first sentence, it's je fais la lessive. Je fais la lessive.
Je fais la lessive.
And je fais la lessive means I am doing the laundry. Je fais la lessive. And we had that pause because I'm working on my pronunciation to ensure that I'm saying the sentence correctly. Next sentence, on fait la même chose. On fait la même chose, which is we are doing the same thing in English.
On fait la même chose.
On fait la même chose. On fait la même chose. Again, on fait la même chose. On fait la même chose is we are doing the same thing. Then we have les voissons font du bruit. Les voissons font du bruit. Now I feel like I'm butchering it, but let's hear the pronunciation.
Les voisins font du bruit.
Oh, les voisins font du bruit. The last word I was butchering. So it's les voisins font du bruit. And les voisins font du bruit means the neighbors are noisy or are making noise.
Les voisins font du bruit.
Okay, let me work on my pronunciation. Les voisins font du bruit. Et voilà. Okay. Next sentence. Nous faisons le lit. Nous faisons le lit.
Nous faisons le lit.
Nous faisons. Yeah, I'm not saying it correctly. Nous faisons le lit.
Nous faisons le lit.
Nous faisons le lit, which means we are making the bed. Nous faisons le lit. Good pronunciation. Registered immediately in the application. Next sentence. Il fait la vaisselle. Il fait la vaisselle.
Il fait la vaisselle.
Il fait la vaisselle. Il fait la vaisselle, which means he is doing the dishes. Il fait la vaisselle. Nothing wrong with making mistakes, guys. Next one. Elle fait le repas. Elle fait le repas.
Elle fait le repas.
Elle fait le repas. And elle fait le repas means she is making supper. Elle fait le repas. She's making supper. Sounds so old English. Okay, next sentence. Elles font un gâteau d'anniversaire. Elles font un gâteau d'anniversaire.
Elles font un gâteau d'anniversaire.
Elles font un gâteau d'anniversaire. Which means they are making a birthday cake. Elles font un gâteau d'anniversaire. Okay, I need to do that again because the way it registered in the app, it wasn't registered immediately. So I'll do it over. Elles font un gâteau d'anniversaire. Very good. Very good pronunciation. Last sentence. Tu fais le course. Tu fais la course. Tu fais les courses. Okay. And tu fais le course means are you going grocery shopping?
Tu fais les courses?
Tu fais les courses. Tu fais les courses. Good job. Okay. So let's just take a note on the vocabulary. La vaisselle, the dishes, is singular in French, but its translation is plural in English. Also know that the phrase faire les courses is used specifically to talk about shopping for necessities, such as groceries. To talk about shopping for clothes or luxury items, you can use the phrase faire du shopping, which you'll find an example sentence towards the end of this lesson. So, you use faire les courses when you're going to do grocery shopping, like shopping for necessities, but you use faire du shopping if you're going to buy clothing or luxury items, as I just mentioned, okay? Okay. As you saw from the examples in the previous section, faire, to make or to do, is used in a lot of expressions that have to do with chores in French, just like to make and to do are in English. It's fair to say that most of the time, if you want to say either to make or to do in French, you'll use faire. So, que fais-tu demain matin? Que fais-tu demain matin? Que fais-tu demain matin? Which means, what are you doing tomorrow morning?
Que fais-tu demain matin?
Que fais-tu demain matin? Que fais-tu demain matin? Again, que fais-tu demain matin means what are you doing tomorrow morning? Then we have on fait le décoration à la main.
On fait les décorations à la main.
Right, so on fait les décorations à la main means we make the decorations by hand. Let's work on my pronunciation. On fait les décorations à la main. Boom. Okay, good. There are times though when faire, to make or to do is used in French expressions, but neither to make nor to do is used in their English equivalents. These expressions just have to be memorized. Okay. A common expression that you need to memorize is ils ne font pas attention. Ils ne font pas attention. Ils ne font pas attention. No, it's ils ne font pas attention. Because attention starts with a vowel. So I believe la liaison must occur between pas and attention. So I'll try it again. Ils ne font pas attention.
Ils ne font pas attention.
Right, ils ne font pas attention, which means they don't pay attention. Ils ne font pas attention. Voilà. Okay, next one that you need to memorize. Est-ce que vous faites les vaisselles? No. Est-ce que vous faites le valise? Est-ce que vous faites les valises? And est-ce que vous faites... No. Attends, let me listen to the pronunciation.
Est-ce que vous faites les valises?
Okay, yeah. So, est-ce que vous faites les valises is are you packing the bags? Okay? Let me work on my pronunciation. Est-ce que vous faites les valises? C'est bon. C'est bon. Oh, this is a couple to memorize. Okay, next one. Nous faisons partie de l'équipe. Nous faisons partie de l'équipe, which means we are part of the team.
Nous faisons partie de l'équipe.
Nous faisons partie de l'équipe. Nous faisons partie de l'équipe, which means we are part of the team. The other one, ça ne fait rien, which is it doesn't matter. That's okay, never mind.
Ça ne fait rien.
Ça ne fait rien. Ça ne fait rien. Again, ça ne fait rien means it doesn't matter. That's okay, never mind. The last, but certainly not least, sentence is je fais du vélo tous les soirs. Je fais du vélo tous les soirs.
Je fais du vélo tous les soirs.
Je fais du vélo tous les soirs means I ride my bike or I go biking every evening. Je fais du vélo tous les soirs. Right, so let's go from the top just to make sure that we reinforce what we need to memorize. Okay. Ils ne font pas attention means they don't pay attention. We have est-ce que vous faites les valises, which means are you packing the bags? The next one, nous faisons partie de l'équipe, which means we are part of the team. Ça ne fait rien, which means it doesn't matter. That's okay. Never mind. And last one is je fais du vélo tous les soirs. I ride my bike, or I go biking every evening. While all of these expressions are useful, the last one is the most versatile of the group, and it is worth looking at it a little more closely. So the last one is je fais du vélo tous les soirs. If you want to talk about an activity that you take part in, then you need to use this formula. Se faire plus the partitive article, in this instance it's du, plus the noun. So some more examples to reinforce this concept of using this formula for creating the sentence structure, okay? We have elles font du jogging chaque matin. Elles font du jogging chaque matin.
Elles font du jogging chaque matin.
And this means they go jogging every morning. Elles font du jogging chaque matin. Elles font du jogging chaque matin. Okay. Then we have il fait du tricot. Il fait du tricot.
Il fait du tricot.
Which means he knits. So il fait du tricot. Il fait du tricot. Good pronunciation. And the last one we have elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt. Okay. Elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt.
Elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt.
And elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt, not forêt. Elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt.
Elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt.
Okay. Elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt. So, elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt for the last time means she goes hiking in the forest. And let me just work on my pronunciation. Elle fait de la randonnée dans la forêt. Et voilà. When activities are phrased like this in French, it's the same as saying either to X or to go Xing. So, okay, let's say to swim or to go swimming. So again, when activities are phrased like this in French, it's the same as saying either in English, to swim or to go swimming. So, faire du jogging can be translated as either to jog or to go jogging. You'll find yourself picking up even more faire to make or to do expressions gradually over time. For now, let's just move on to dire, to say. So that brings us to the end of faire. We have already mentioned that faire to make or to do and dire, to say, follow a very similar conjugation pattern. Check out the conjugation tables for dire, to say below, and see if you can spot the differences. Okay. So dire is spelled D-I-R-E. So much like when we drop the R-E for faire, you do the same for dire, okay? So the two first pronouns, je and tu, you drop the R-E for dire, and it ends with an S now. So the stem is D-I. So it's D-I-S to say je fais, to say je dis, I say, tu dis, you say, il dit, he says, elle dit, she says, on dit, one says. So for je and tu, it's spelled D-I-S. For tu, it's spelled D-I-S. Again, for je and tu, to say je dis and tu dis, it literally ends with an S. So it's D-I-S, D-I-S for the both examples, okay? For the both, in the both instances, sorry, not examples. For il dit, elle dit, and on dit, the stem remains di. However, all of these verbs for il dit, However, all of these versions or these conjugations for the verb dire, for il dit, elle dit, on dit, the stem is di and it ends with a t. Good. I hope that was clear. So let's listen to the pronunciation to make sure that everything is correct. Okay? So, je dis, I say.
Je dis.
Okay. Tu dis, you say.
Tu dis.
Il dit, he says.
Il dit.
Elle dit, she says.
Elle dit.
On dit, one says.
On dit.
Great. So dire to say actually follows the exact same pattern as faire to make or to do in the singular forms. It uses regular stem di and behaves just like a regular re verb, with the exception of the added final t in the form that uses il, elle, on. Okay, let's do the plural forms. Similar to faire, it's spelled, you use the same ons ending. However, there's an s in between the stem of di and ons to make it easier to pronounce. So nous disons, we say. Vous dites, you say, formal / plural. Ils disent and elles disent. So ils disent is they say and elles disent is they say as well, the feminine version, okay? So let's listen to the pronunciation.
Nous disons.
Nous disons.
Vous dites.
Vous dites.
Ils disent.
Ils disent.
Elles disent.
Elles disent. Okay, so nous disons, just to make sure it's clear. Nous disons is we say. Vous dites is you say, formal / plural. Ils disent is they say. Elles disent is they say, feminine. Okay? Dire, to say, is once again just like faire, to make or to do, in the nous and vous forms, taking an extra s to form disons and following the same model as être, which is ETES, to create dit. Okay. So in the example above, when we were talking about faire, and we said faire doesn't, for the formal version of you, it doesn't take on the regular easy ending that you would have in regular ER verbs, okay? It takes on a TES ending, okay? So what they're saying is that, for example, for vous dites, it's the same principle that applies. It doesn't take on an easy ending, which you would see with a regular ER verb, a regular ER verb. It takes on a TES ending. So it's vous dites, okay? And for the il form and for the elle form, it does its own thing. Like it doesn't follow the pattern of faire. So it's literally spelled. For il dit, they say, it's spelled ILS for il, and we have DISENT for ils disent, and disent is spelled that way. Elles disent takes on the exact same form, but it's spelled ELLES DISENT. I hope that was clear. When conjugated with il or elle, dire to say works a lot like its new form. It uses the regular stem di and the regular re ending, and it uses the regular stem di and the regular re ending ent, and joins the two by adding a s in the letter. S, sorry. So remember, it's il, elles disent, and not il, elles dont. Dont is actually an entirely different word in French. That means whose or of which, and dont is DONT, like don't in English, okay? But dont means whose or of which in English, okay? Because dont is an actual word. So you don't say ils dont or elles dont, you say ils disent, elles disent. Great. As for la liaison, the liaison is very uncommon between forms of dire to say and words that follow them. So let's practice some words. So, on dit que les sorcières flottent. On dit que les sorcières flottent. This is a weird sentence.
On dit que les sorcières flottent.
On dit que les sorcières flottent. Yeah, you don't pronounce the T. So, on dit que le sorcier flotte means they say that witches float. All right. On dit que le sorcier flotte. I need to say that again. On dit que le sorcier flotte. Let me try that one more time. On dit que les sorcières flottent. Voilà. Okay. So, on dit que les sorciers flottent means they say that witches float. The next sentence. Tu dis que tu n'aimes pas le cadeau. Tu dis que tu n'aimes pas le cadeau.
Tu dis que tu n'aimes pas le cadeau.
Which means, are you saying that you don't like the present? Tu dis que tu n'aimes pas le cadeau. Next sentence is elle dit un mensonge.
Elle dit un mensonge.
Elle dit un mensonge. And elle dit un mensonge means she is telling a lie. Then we have est-ce que vous dites quelque chose? Est-ce que vous dites quelque chose?
Est-ce que vous dites quelque chose?
Okay. Est-ce que vous dites? Est-ce que vous dites quelque chose? And est-ce que vous dites quelque chose means are you saying something? Then we have ils disent qu'ils vont bien. Ils disent qu'ils vont bien. Ils disent qu'ils vont bien. And ils disent qu'ils vont bien means they say that they are doing well. Ils disent qu'ils vont bien.
Ils disent qu'ils vont bien.
Ils disent qu'ils vont bien. And again, that means they say that they are doing well. Then we have nous ne disons rien. Nous ne disons rien, which means we aren't saying anything. Nous ne disons rien.
Nous ne disons rien.
Again, we aren't saying anything. Then we have elles disent quelque chose à lui.
Elles disent quelque chose à lui.
Elles disent quelque chose à lui. And elles disent quelque chose à lui means they are saying something to lui. Then we have je dis la vérité. Je dis la vérité. Wow. Let's listen. Vérité. Je dis la vérité, I think.
Je dis la vérité.
Je dis la vérité. Okay. And je dis la vérité means I am telling the truth. Je dis la vérité. No, I need to do that over. Je dis la vérité. No, that's not a good pronunciation.
Je dis la vérité.
Okay. Je dis la vérité. Et voilà. Je dis. Because it was registering as me saying j'ai, which is I have. Je dis la vérité. Je dis la vérité. That's all.
Je dis la vérité.
Je dis la vérité. 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 I am telling the truth. Ok. Il dit qu'on est presque là. 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 Which means he says that we are almost there.
Il dit qu'on est presque là.
Il dit qu'on est presque là. Il dit qu'on est presque là. And il dit qu'on est presque là means he says that we are almost there. Okay, using dire to say. As the examples in the previous section showed, dire is used in pretty much the same way as the verb to say in English. And it is often paired with the word que. And que in English means that. To report what other people have said. However, you may have noticed that dire can sometimes be translated as to tell. And this can cause confusion for French learners. Let's clarify how it works. Okay. Dire usually means to say, but it is used to mean to tell in a few specific instances. These are when you're talking about telling the truth, telling a lie, telling something to someone. You saw examples of each of these instances in the previous sections. So, je dis la vérité, which was giving me which I was struggling to say before.
Je dis la vérité.
Je dis la vérité means I am telling the truth. Je dis la vérité. Je dis la vérité. Je dis la vérité. Okay. Elle dit un mensonge.
Elle dit un mensonge.
And elle dit un mensonge means she is telling a lie. Elle dit un mensonge. Elle dit un mensonge. That's much better. Elles disent quelque chose à lui.
Elles disent quelque chose à Louis.
Elles disent quelque chose à lui. And in each of these instances, you see the example of telling the truth, which is je dis la vérité. Then we have telling a lie. Elle dit un mensonge, which means she's telling a lie. And the last one, we have telling something to someone, which is elles disent quelque chose à lui, which means they are saying something to Louis. If you're talking about telling a story or telling a joke, though, if you're talking about telling a story or a joke, then you'll use a different verb, raconter, which means to tell. Raconter.
Raconter.
Raconter. And the example is il racontait une histoire, which means he is telling a story. Il raconte une histoire. Il raconte une histoire.
Il raconte une histoire.
Il raconte une histoire. And the next example is tu vas raconter une blague.
Tu vas raconter une blague?
Tu vas raconter une blague. And tu vas raconter une blague means are you going to tell a joke? You might sometimes also hear the phrase raconter un mensonge, to tell a lie. This can work because a lie is a lot like a story. However, the phrase dire un mensonge is more common. Dire un mensonge is more common, okay? You'll get to work with dire to say more, but later on in the course, once we have learned how to say things like to him and to her. So practice. So just to give some more practice for faire, to make, and dire to say, we have a few more examples to go through. And yeah. So, ils font du shopping.
Ils font du shopping.
Ils font du shopping, which means they are going shopping. Il dit que je suis belle. He thinks that I'm very beautiful. No, he says.
Il dit que je suis belle.
Il dit que je suis belle means he says that I'm very beautiful. Il dit que je suis belle. Then we have je fais mes devoirs. Je fais mes devoirs.
Je fais mes devoirs.
Je fais mes devoirs means I am doing my homework. Je fais mes devoirs. Je fais mes devoirs. Much better. Elle dit qu'elle est américaine, which means she says that she's American. Elle dit qu'elle est américaine.
Elle dit qu'elle est américaine.
Elle dit qu'elle est américaine, which means she says she's American. Then we have nous disons toujours que ce restaurant est trop cher. Nous disons toujours que ce restaurant est trop cher. And nous disons toujours que ce restaurant est trop cher is we always say that this restaurant is too expensive.
Nous disons toujours que ce restaurant est trop cher.
Then we have tu ne fais jamais la cuisine, which means you never do the cooking.
Tu ne fais jamais la cuisine.
Then we have elles disent qu'elle habite à Paris. Elles disent qu'elle habite à Paris. Elles disent qu'elle habite à Paris.
Elles disent qu'elles habitent à Paris.
Non, comment Philippe? Elles disent qu'elles habitent à Paris. Elles disent qu'elles habitent à Paris. And elles disent qu'elles habitent à Paris means they say that they live in Paris. Then we have vous dites que vous êtes des touristes. Vous dites que vous êtes des touristes means you, but plural, say that you are tourist. Vous dites que vous êtes des touristes.
Vous dites que vous êtes des touristes.
And then we have on fait un voyage à Londres chaque année.
On fait un voyage à Londres chaque année.
On fait un voyage à Londres chaque année. And this brings us to the end of our lesson. Let's go through some action replay, basically some highlights that is important to remember. So faire, to make or to do, and dire, to say follow almost exactly the same irregular conjugation pattern. They only differ in forms used for the il and el. Faire is used in much the same way as to say, to make and to do, although it is also used for some expressions that don't involve these English verbs. You can talk about activities using the formula faire plus the partitive article plus the noun. Dire is used in much the same way as to say, but it is also used when you're talking about telling the truth, telling a lie, or telling something to someone. So, as we end every French lesson with a bit of French culture. So today we're going to talk about French cinema. So many historians cite France and Paris in particular as the cradle of cinema. In fact, the first time that a motion picture was ever shown before an audience for a fee was in Paris in 1895, when Auguste and Louis Lumière presented 10 short films, each less than a minute long. Among the world's earliest filmmakers, the Lumière brothers also manufactured photography equipment and were responsible for developing cinematography, a machine that could both record and project motion pictures. The groundbreaking technology would help to accelerate the production and consumption of movies around the world. But French influence on cinema goes beyond technology. French directors, critics, and actors have also played an important role in the development of filmmaking techniques and standards for filmmaking excellence. For example, a French artistic movement in the 1950s and 60s, known as the La Nouvelle Vague, the New Wave, pushed for experimentation and nonconformity in filmmaking, ultimately helping cinematography to flourish as an art form. Some notable titles from the movement include Hiroshima, Mon Amour, 1959, and About de Souffler, Breathless in 1960, and Jules and Jim in 1962, with all three featuring compelling stories and innovative filming techniques. Today, the French love for movies and the movie-going experience has translated into France producing more movies per year than any other European country. And many French films have gathered attention outside of France as well, including titles like 2001's Le Flambeau Destin d'Amélie Poulain, Amélie, and 2011's The Artiste. Some popular French films have even been remade in English in the United States, such as the 1990s La Femme Nikita and the 2011's The Untouchables, in 2017's The Upside. If you're looking for an interesting or historic cinematic experience, or just a chance to immerse yourself further in French culture, French movies are an excellent resource. Let's just run through some pronunciations.
La Nouvelle Vague.
La Nouvelle Vague.
Hiroshima, mon amour.
Hiroshima, mon amour.
À bout de souffle.
À bout de souffle.
Jules et Jim.
Jules et Jim.
Le fabuleux destin d'Amélie Poulain.
Le fabuleux destin